Hey, how y'all doing? It's Sharonda, and hey, how y'all doing? I'm here to do my monthly wrap-up for my monthly reading wrap-up for the month of February. So let's get into this thing, shall we? Okay, so hopefully I won't have you guys here all day because it was a short reading list. I think I only read like 4 or 5 books this month, but anyway, let's pop on over to these books, okay? The first book we're going to start off with is Take It Off by Ashley Nicole. This is a novella length book, I believe. I love Ashley Nicole's work. I think she's a great author. She always seems to like put this humor in her stories that just, gives the stories a really good balance. But anyway, in this latest release, we have a couple who hook back up after 2 years and not seeing each other. So we have Thry and Myah, who have always been kind of sort of like friends with benefits. They ended up hooking up in college, have always been sleeping around, but never made anything official. And that was mostly on Thry's side. I think it's Thry. Anyway, it was mostly on her side because she's never really seen like a good examples of relationships around her. So she's always kind of been like skittish of going into something long-term, full-time or whatever. So when her and Myah started this thing off in college where they were just sleeping around together, it was fine for both of them. But as the years go by, Myah started getting serious, but he never really said anything to Thry because he didn't know exactly why she was why she felt the way she felt about relationships. But, he never pressured her into anything serious or anything, more about their relationship status because, he just never did. So they always had this situationship. But when we go inside the story, they hadn't seen each other in 2 years. That's because they both lived in different states. Thry was down in Florida doing her thing with her own business and stuff like that. And Myah was back in their hometown. I can't remember the hometown name. Okay, city, whatever, state, I don't know. So, so what ends up happening is Thry ends up selling her fashion business, and the company she sells it to decides to keep her on. It's kind of like a consultant or stuff like that or whatever. And she ends up moving back to their hometown, and she hooks up with one of her old friends that she hadn't seen in a really long time. But, they kind of like instantly reconnect. And Thry, when she first moves back to their hometown, she is having some housing issues. And not that she could not afford anywhere to stay. She just couldn't find nowhere to stay. Everywhere she went somewhere, it was just, nothing was available. Shit was a mess. So it was really hard for her. So she ends up staying with this girlfriend that she hadn't seen in, they kind of like reconnect. She ended up staying with her or whatever. But then the girlfriend was only going to be like a temporary stay because the girlfriend was going to, her girlfriend was going to end up moving in with her boyfriend. So it was like a temporary thing. And even after that time was up, Thry was still having some issues in finding housing. So she runs into Myah one night when her and her friend are out, and Myah is like, he's pissed because he's like, they had this thing was like, if she ever found herself back in their old town, that she had to hook him up. That was their thing. Just like when he was always down in Florida, he always found her. So he was like, if you come back this way, you need to find me. And she didn't do that. But he was upset. But they end up they ended up going back to the same thing where they were just sleeping around or whatever. When Thry comes across this housing issue or whatever, Myah's like, you know what, stay with me temporarily until you find somewhere to stay, whatever. He had like this really cute, kind of like loft type of apartment or whatever. Thry is kind of like skittish at first, and she's just like, I don't know. And he's just like, it's only temporary. I ain't trying to pressure you into being in a relationship or anything. I'm just looking out for you as a friend. So they go into this agreement where she moves in with him until she is supposed to find somewhere to stay because she's close to New York or something like that. And it was where she would do like two days down in the city and then, be back, in their hometown or whatever. So we have that going on. So for most of the book, I really did enjoy it. I liked the book. I liked it a lot. Me and Tama actually talked about the book on the podcast. I actually liked the book. It was agree to disagree with us on this particular book, but I liked it. I understood why Thrive was the way she was. She had a really kind of like messed up relationship with her mom. Her mom ended up choosing a man over her, and Thrive was really just like looking for someone to like return the love that she was given towards them. Her mother never did that. Her mother ended up choosing her new husband over her, and always try to like gaslit Thrive into like, why can't you just let us all be a family? And Thrive never felt that way because her stepfather wasn't very nice to her. He was the type of man that did not want to include Thrive into family things, but he had kids as well outside of this marriage. But he always made the effort to make sure that his kids was included into stuff. So Thrive and her mother always had kind of like this contentious type of relationship. She really hadn't seen her mother in a long time, and quite frankly, when she moved back to her hometown, she honestly did not get in contact with her mom. And I could understand why, because her mother was like, reading the book, her mother was really something else. It was like she wanted Thrive to put in all the effort to put into the effort to make their relationship something. But it's like, your daughter is telling you the exact reason why y'all are the way y'all are, and you are refusing to see that. It was just like a whole lot of gaslighting going on, a whole lot of accusatory going on. Like, this man would not let this woman go see her daughter, her grown daughter, unless he was with her or was sending one of his kids with him or whatever. And it was really extra messed up because she developed this relationship with his kids that she did not have with her own daughter. So I was just like, that's messed up. So reading the book, you can definitely understand why Thrive the way she was when it came to moving forward in a relationship with Mar. And I got Mar's frustration too, because it's just like, you can't let what's going on between your mom affect us, especially when I'm a good dude. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. He didn't mistreat her, he didn't mistalk to her or anything like that. He was just a stand-up dude on page. So I could see people going inside of this book and being very frustrated with Thrive when it came to her and Mar's relationship, because she really was holding against him the situation that was going on between her and her mother. And she didn't even really tell him like the full story as to why, like why her and her mom have this kind of like messed up relationship, why she doesn't, why she really didn't want to be in a full-blown relationship with him. We didn't get much of that until like the end of the story. I do feel like it could have been more discussed early on within the book, but at the end of the day, I think it's a good read. It's a really great good read, and I thought that Thrive and Mar were a good couple on page. So if you want to listen to more, check out Brazenly Shady podcast. It is our first episode of season 7, and you can listen to Tama and myself discuss Take It Off. All right, and then the next book that I read was End When You Leave Me, an erotic ghost love story by Katrina Jackson. This is a multicultural this is a multicultural romance. The male or the man is Indian American, and the female character is Black American. So I like this book too. I didn't get the erotic vibes. That didn't really. This is another short book, novelette length book. I thought the erotica, not even like the scene itself, the sex scene. It was only one sex scene, and it came in at the end of the story. And it was erotic in itself, but this could just been a ghost love story. But anyway, so we have what is this child's name? Y'all know I never remember these characters' name, and half of the time they don't be putting the damn people name inside of the stories, and I mean inside of the damn blurb, and I'd be like, the hell is this? But I'd be like, what is going on? But in this story, we have main character. She is grieving her husband. He contact trigger warning, lost spouse, illness is mentioned inside of the book. It is not heavy on page, but it is mentioned inside of the book because the main female character, the husband passes away from an illness. So when we go inside of the book, that is what we get. And so basically the story is a lot about dealing with grief after losing, your spouse, and how it was difficult for her to move on from that. Her family and his family are trying their best to get her to move along, but like I said, she's finding it really hard to do that. And the ghost part comes in where he actually pays her a visit. So she has a very, which I really love that vibe in the story. She has a very spiritual grandma. Her grandma gives her a special soap, tell her, bathe with it for the incoming new year. And the old folks tell, what you see in the new year is what you're gonna, what's gonna happen for you, for the rest of the year and all this other stuff. So basically, once she bathes with this soap, she goes into kind of like a trance, kind of like sleep or whatever. And her husband, her dead husband, comes to see her, and he's basically telling her like, hey, you need to move forward. And she gets to put out all her grief and stuff like that. But he basically shows her where that she's going to have a future without him, even though she does not want to. She is going to have a whole future without him. New husband, new family, all this other thing. So he ends up showing her that because he wants her to let him go so that he can move on and she can move on as well. And I like the story. I thought it was really, it really pulls at your heartstrings, gets you to understand, a little bit more about grief and losing a loved one, and just trying to deal with the aftermath of especially when someone has an illness and you take care of them, being not just just being their nurse, homemaker, all those things. We see the character, a lot of it isn't heavy on page, but we see the main female character just go through these things, and she's remembering when she first met him and all that other stuff. So it's really a story that kind of like just pulls on your heartstrings, gets you a little sad. She does end up with a happily ever after, because like I said, the dead husband does come to visit her and shows her a future, shows her a happy future that she is going to have without him. And it was really, really sweet. Like I said, the eroticism part for me really came in at the end. Like I said, it wasn't really heavy on page either. It was a scene where she is able to reconnect with her ex-husband, with her dead husband, through somebody that is now her new husband in the future. It's you got to read the book to understand what I'm saying. But for the most part, I like the story. It was cute. Okay, so the next book was Pray Love by, hope I'm saying this right again, Tidimalo, Motukwa. Anyway, so this for me was more of women's fiction with romance elements in it. This is African story about written by an African author. I have a full review here on my channel. You can check out that video. It's probably right behind this one. But it's a really nice story. We have Omajilang, who is just getting back control of her life. After she is laid off from her job. She's like an engineer, civil engineer, something like that. So she's just trying to get her life back in order. And what happens is she ends up having to rent out her house. So that you lose your job, you gotta catch up on your bills. And she had a whole house that her parents had left her as part of her inheritance, and she ends up taking on these 4 roommates, all women. And we just basically get the story where these women, through different ages and different life stories, connect. And then we have where Amajilang actually finds romance in this story. She's always kind of been like skittish about relationships and stuff like that. Not too much skittish because she's just a single lady that liked to travel with her friends and stuff. But she was noticing that a lot of her friends were were marrying off and doing other things. So, yeah. And she ends up meeting Thor. Was it Thor? I think it was Thor. Yeah. Tor. It was Tor. She ends up meeting him. They had these little cute meet cutes at this coffee shop, and then she ends up running to him again when she ends up working for the company he's actually CEO of, his parents' company. And the story just kind of takes off from there. I like the story. Really cute story. I'm trying to think of anything that I did not like. It wasn't really much that I disliked about the book. It was a cute read for the most part. This is part of a series of books, which is written by different African authors, called Love Notes. This is book 6 in the series, kind of like anthology type series or whatever. I don't believe you have to read these books in order, because each author writes about a different couple. And yeah, the next book is The Kiss Countdown by Etta, Easton. I actually requested this book through Berkeley Romance. It is an ARC. The book comes out April 16th, 14th, one of them. And I like the book enough. I'll just say that. It was an okay, cute read. It was an okay read. I'll take cute out of it. It was an okay read. So basically, you have this story about this lady, this young woman that ends up going to a fake relationship with an astronaut. So what happens is, she is like struggling or whatever. She is another character that loses her job, wasn't laid off or anything, but due to a parent being sick, she ended up taking some time off of work, and the company didn't back her up. And when things kind of went left, she got fired, basically. So she, A. Marie was her name. Sorry, A. Marie. She it's just one thing that got me tripping. Anyway, so A. Marie ends up losing her job, and she is trying to like venture out on her own. Instead of going, she's an event planner, and instead of trying to like go work for another company, she's trying to like, branch out and do her own thing. And things aren't just going the way she wants to right now. And for the most part, she's okay, but she is starting to understand that, I can just lose everything. She ends up running into Vincent at a coffee shop when he comes in for a save from her when she runs into her ex-boyfriend, and then she ends up being a save for Vincent when he runs into his sister. They both pretend to be fake girlfriend, boyfriend for each other. And it's kind of like opens up the door where Vincent ends up asking her to kind of like, can you do this for a minute? Because, he has to pretend to have a girlfriend for his family events and all these other kind of events that he wants to go to. And then this is kind of like an exchange of A. Marie ends up living with him. He has a house. She ends up staying in like a room, extra room that he has in his house because, again, she ain't got no job. She can't afford rent no more, and she's kind of like taking on her mom's hospital bills and stuff. So it's a whole lot for a whole lot of people. It's a whole lot for her. So that's what it is. And for the most part, I like the book. So I'll say this. I did not get the attraction between Vincent and A. Marie for a lot of this book, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, I don't even know if this lady liked him that much throughout the read. Like, like I understand, like, sometimes you're a very attractive woman and men just, coming on to you all the time and you're just like, I'm sick of this shit. But, it wasn't like, he was flirting with her like aggressively. He was just doing like saying cute little flirty things, like when they first started meeting at the coffee shop or whatever. And she would get like this instant attitude, like, you know what I'm saying? And then like sometimes like he would like once they did start, she moved in with him and stuff like that. Like he would say things to her sometimes and she'd just be like, what? Just automatically have her hackles up or whatever. So I just feel like, damn, do she even like him enough? Like, you saw the attraction on page. I don't know. Sometimes like when you're going inside these romances or whatever, I know for me as a romance reader, I just don't want to read it on page. Like, I want to feel like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, these two really, really do like each other. Like, I didn't know if this lady liked this man for a lot of the book. I was just like, okay. So, and plus she was just doing way too much inside of the book. Like, a lot of the stuff, like, I understand. Like, she didn't have, like, a hard childhood or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But they just moved around a lot because, the mother couldn't work because, contact trigger warning, the mother has an illness, sickle cell, I believe. So it made it hard for her to work or whatever. And the father always worked like 2 jobs. And, they weren't like dirt poor, but, when you work in kind of like blue collar jobs, sometimes these jobs don't pay what the hell they supposed to be paying. So, it was always, they had to move like when the rent goes up and stuff like that. So, she's kind of like dealing with kind of like rent, like housing insecurity as an adult. Again, through no fault of her own or anything like that, so I just feel like, sometimes when I'm reading these romances, like, you just don't get or get the attraction between this couple. It's like, why even here? And I also, this goes into the thing of where we're getting a lot of books, especially romances, where, like back, we're getting a lot of unlikable women characters. They're just not likable. And it's just not like, me not being a girl's girl, because y'all taking on that statement now, me not being a girl's girl or not liking women in general. But it's like, you can't give us an unlikable character, rather it's male or female, right? Woman or man. And then at 90% of the book, you're giving this person some type of redemption story. It's like, girl, we done hated this person for goddamn 80% of the book. What is this? We don't care anymore, We don't like this lady. So, yeah. So, Vincent was an okay character. I just felt like he was just written to be kind of like, her dude for this book. We get the side story of where his backstory, where he is just kind of like having this kind of like, him and his mom are not kind of sort of in a good place. Also, contact trigger warning for a sibling. They lost a sibling, his family. So him him being an astronaut, his mother, which I thought was doing way too goddamn much in this book, because it's like, lady, even if something does happen to visit, you got 2 other kids there, lady. Okay, calm down. But anyway, you know, we get the backstory where him and his mom are kind of like not in a good place right now, because the mom doesn't like the fact that he's an astronaut and, you know, something can happen to him, and it's just worrying her to death, which just kind of makes them have kind of like this kind of like not good relationship at this point in time, which is another reason why he asks A. Marie to be his fake girlfriend, because you know, he feels like that would kind of like get his mom off his back, and his mother was just doing way too goddamn much in this book. I was just like, lady, you need to calm down. It's all right. So yeah, it was an okay read for me. Next book and last book that I read for February was When I Think of You by Myah, Ariel, which is new to me author, also being released through Berkeley in April, on April 4th. This is another ARC request that I requested, and yeah, I did not like this book at all. I did not like it. This is kind of like lovers reconnect. Myah and what is this man's name? I'm sorry, Kayla. I'm talking about Arthur's name. What's wrong with me? Wildin'. Kayla and Danny were like college sweethearts that kind of like fell off, and when we go on the story, they were both like in film school or whatever. Danny ends up having a spectacular future. He's also a nepo baby, because his dad is like in the film industry, so he goes inside the film industry and succeeds, where Kayla is working at a film studio as a secretary, and everybody's shitting on poor Kayla, and Kayla is ready to go, but she does not go until Danny ends up coming up to the studio that she works at one day, and they kind of like reconnect that way. He's asking her to you know, come work for him. You know, he wants her to help him finish this story, this love story that he is recreating based off his parents, who were like an interracial couple back in the day, and it's kind of like, you know, black and white people weren't supposed to be together, you know, that thing, and they kind of like reconnect with each other after that, which she initially wasn't going to do it, but, you know, her friend convinces her like, hey, how are you going to get out of this goddamn secretary job if you don't? So go do it and shut up. And she does. And yeah, I didn't like this book. I really can't tell y'all much. I just did not like this book. Kayla was a bit of a whiner. Danny did a whole lot of emotional cheating, because when we go inside of the book, he has a girlfriend. You know, we got the mean ex-girlfriend, current girlfriend vibes going on inside of the story. But if he ain't being truthful, I'll be a mean hoe too. But anyway, it was just a whole lot of back and forth between them. I just wanted them a lot. Y'all know this if you watch my channel a lot. This is my biggest pet peeve in romance, is miscommunication. How the hell are y'all supposed to know what's going on as a couple if y'all don't talk? I know it is a big trope inside of romance, but it is so very goddamn annoying. Please, for the love of God, start making these couples where they talk to each other inside of these romances, because please, it is upsetting me and my homegirls. I am homegirl. I am upset. So yeah, I just did not like the book. If anybody read it, if you got the ARC, you read it, let me know what you thought about it. And that is it for me. And until the next one, later days. Bye.